the Umbrella Corporation. Our business is life itself. This podcast episode is brought to you by nothing.
Try it for free.
You know those yoga pants that have these crazy patterns on them? I know what you're doing, lady. I know what you're doing. There is this camouflage that they use on ships, right? And the ships, the camouflage, it kind of looks like a zebra pattern, but it's jagged. That reminds me of these yoga pants. I know what you're doing, lady. I know what you're doing, lady. That camouflage is used in the water to make it so you can't tell how far or how close the ship is. I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. That's why these yoga pants always look sexy on women. I know what you're doing. It's clever. It's very clever. It's clever.
So I caught the last part of the Mexico against United States game right now. I was thinking, I never watch sports. I'm going to tell you right now, I never, ever watch sports. But I was thinking, what if I got really into sports? That would like fuck everybody up that I know. Because they would be like, what the hell's up with Goliath? He's all into sports now. But it happens, right? Doesn't that happen to people? They just decide to get into something all of a sudden, and that's what they're doing. Well, that's not what I'm getting into. What I'm getting into is being a mariachi. And like I told you in the last podcast, Philip Pan is going to be the violinist, it seems. And we have a rehearsal tomorrow. And Roger Phillips is playing the guitarrón. I'm going to see if Keith Marks can make it out, who's playing the trumpet. And our suits are coming in the mail sometime soon. But it's at a snail pace. It takes a long time to get the suits because they're coming from Mexico. And, everybody that does everything is slow in Mexico. One time when I was a kid, my mom took me, I was like 10 years old. My mom took me to Mexico. And I'm this kid from Los Angeles, right? Los Angeles is a huge city. It's a metropolis. And then I go to Mexico, and my grandmother, she lives in the common parts, And it's nowhere fancy, not even a big city. But she lives on the Pacific coast in Mazatlan, Mexico. And when I went there, my mom sent me to the store. And first of all, she sends me to the store and she gives me this money. And I just loved it because the money had all kinds of zeros after the number, after the digit. And I was like, man, look at all this money I got. I got 10,000 pesos. I got this bill says 5,000 and this bill says 500 and this one says 10,000. As a kid, it's great to have that kind of money on you. You don't know anything about inflation or anything like that. You don't care. It's got a lot of money. If it was today, I'd take my cell phone and I would take a picture of it, and I would like upload it to my Instagram. I don't have an Instagram, by the way. Don't even go look. But I do have a Twitter. And I have this podcast, this handy podcast that you're listening to right now. Anyway, so I went to the store and I saw this lady and this man and this other lady waiting out there in front of the store. And the store that I'm going to is like what we would call a convenience store here, but it looks nothing like that. And it's just a little small grocery store. They have a little fruit stand and they have like some little junk food and they have tortillas and things like that, some canned food and like maybe even like minor medicines and, whatnot and cleaning products. And the store opens like a garage. Like the thing just comes up and the whole thing is open, like a huge open wall. Like it's got like 3 walls, basically. After you open that front thing, that thing that slides up. It slides up and it rolls up. Anyhow, I get there and the store is supposed to open like, 8 in the morning, 7:30 in the morning, and they're not open yet. And the person who's opening is late. And So the person gets there like maybe like 15 minutes later or like a half hour later. I don't know. But I was waiting out there and other people were waiting out there. And I remember nobody complaining, right? But I'm from Los Angeles. I'm like, I'm 10-year-old kid from Los Angeles. I'm like, what the hell? It's like, the store says it's going to open at 7:30 in the morning. It's not open. And people were just talking. And it showed me that life is really different there. I felt really like a fish out of water because so many things were different, and all the things that matter in the United States and Los Angeles, all of the pretenses that matter don't matter there. You know, there was kids my age. It was normal for kids my age to have, you know, 1 or 2 adult responsibilities, like, you know, like certain adult chores, like going to the grocery store. Like I went to the little store by myself. And the other kids that were around my same age, and some of them younger, they, like I'm telling you, they had these adult responsibilities. They laughed at me. I'm playing with my little G.I. Joes. They didn't have that. They didn't even care about that. You know, they like to set things on fire. They knew how to make fireworks out of like a matchbook. They knew how to wrap. They'd get a piece of tin foil and then they'd turn it into a firework and into a skyrocket. Don't even ask me how. I don't even know how they used to do that, but I saw them do that. And you know what? For a while, I learned how to make a skyrocket with a matchbook and some tin foil. And so, yeah. So as you know, in my last podcast, I was talking about that I was having relationship troubles, and you know, we're not in the clear yet. But you know, I can't get too detailed on it because it's very personal, and there's another person involved in this, of course, you know, my spouse, and I don't know, you know, I have to be respectful about. Holy crap! That always scares me. The theme song came on. Is that a sign? Was that a sign? No, I forgot to mute it, and I have it somewhere like later on. Anyway, you know what? That gets me thinking about what I just said. The theme song happened. I entertained the idea for a while that synchronicity mattered and that like the universe was speaking to me. But I overall, you know, now I've decided after all this time, after looking into things and growing older and having more experience, I decided that it's a very self-centered way of being, like that the universe is doing things for you and that you're influencing the universe to the degree in a Western-minded human way. You know, like if it cares more about you than it does about a koala in Australia. You know, so there's that. And I entertained the idea. I was messing with that for a while. But looking back, I can honestly say that I was definitely a more self-centered person when I saw things that way, when I entertained that. And I also have come to realize, well, all of these things are theoretical. So there is really no like solid truth. It's not science. It's not a hard science. But I've come to realize that, in my view, that when you look at coincidences and we try, like back then I would try to hang on to a coincidence. I would see somebody and then I would be like, I'd run into another person and that was a sign, right? Now I see it as more like that tells me more about my insecurity or somebody else's insecurity than it does about some sort of gift or connection. Because you're hanging on to something and you're looking for confirmation in something because you don't have it, the confirmation. So we look for confirmation in these coincidences because that is how insecure life can be for people. But when you know what you're doing and you know why you're doing it, and you decide what that means and what it means. You know, I'll tell you what would be extraordinary though, This also has to do with being scientifically literate. Is like, let's say, for example, I have a friend that lived in Iceland and I lived here where I live. Iceland is a long way away. So I'm walking down the street and that friend never lived here. They lived in Oregon, let's say, their whole life. And I was thinking about the person. I was like, man, I really would like to see that, my friend who's living in Iceland. And I'm walking down the street and then I see that person. I'm like, holy crap, that's really remarkable right there, right? But if you live in the same city as someone and you frequent the same haunts and you run into the person, it's like a no-brainer. Of course you're gonna run into that person. First of all, you guys live in the same part of town, you hang out at the same hipster bars, and so you're gonna run into that person. So I don't know if you caught that, but in that, looking for coincidences and looking that the universe is sending you signals about what you're already trying to do shows you more that you're not so sure about what you're doing and what you're not trying to do. Because now I just ignore those coincidences. They're more like, I acknowledge them, like I give them a nod, and I'm like, hey, what's up, coincidence? And I go, I have an agenda. I'm trying to get something done. It's nice seeing you. I gotta go over here because I'm telling myself what everything means to me. So what do you think about that? You got something worth thinking about. Now back to my relationship. What can I tell you? What can I tell you that it would be couth of me to talk about? Well, I can tell you that I can tell you what I've realized about myself. Through the problems that we've been having, I've realized that I'm pretty aware of my cognitive process and my actions, because there's been situations throughout these problems in my relationship where there's a fork in the road, and one path leads to confrontation and expressing myself, and the other path leads to passive aggressive behavior. Now, if you don't know what passive aggressive behavior, it's like, if you don't know what it is, if you're not clear on what it is, it's like when you bite your lip and you don't say anything, and then you get back at the person in a different way. And there's a myriad of ways that you can do that. Just look it up, like passive aggressive on a browser, and it'll come up like Psychology Today. It'll tell you all about it. But so I realized that I'm not a passive aggressive person, but I realized that I do have that choice, and people have that choice. If you fall into a situation and you can have a passive aggressive reaction, you can take that road, or you can take the road of confrontation and expressing your anger. That happens to us constantly, and I have to say that I'm definitely the kind of person that takes the road of expressing my anger. And I wasn't always that way. I definitely had some passive aggressive shit going on before, but it's not easy. This is actually tied to what I was telling you about knowing what you're doing and why you're doing it. Being decided on your purpose. It's tied to that because, why is it tied to that? I'm losing my train of thought here. It's tied to that because, if you know your purpose, if you're aware of these things, you're going to take the non-passive aggressive route. Because you're going to have the confidence, you're going to have the encouragement from your inner ancestors. No, you're going to have you use whatever word you want, really. You're going to have the encouragement from yourself, from your own rapport with yourself, because instead of biting your lip, you'll clench, you'll tighten up and express yourself in the moment. It's neither one is a pleasant thing to do, but the passive aggressive version is based in procrastination and putting it off till later. And the confrontational one is based in dealing with it right now. I've noticed that I've been pigeonholed several times by progressive-minded people. Now, I'm not making a blanket statement across the board for progressive peoples, but the people who I've noticed have done this to me happen to be on the progressive side. And maybe not all of them. Maybe I could, if I dig around, I could think of, if I sit and think about it for a while, which I don't have time for, I could think of a couple of conservative-minded people who have been this way towards me. However, I'll have you know, if you're somebody like me who's observant and critical thinking, and you make observations and you voice yourself, there's a lot of people that will try to silence you if it's not good for them, of course. Especially if they know that what they're doing is bullshit. Anyhow, what I'm trying to get to you is that sometimes when people try to silence you, when people try to silence me, it could be because they just disregard me as a cynic, or they could disregard me as one of those people that just likes to complain about everything, right? That way they don't have to think about it either. They could just, instead of dismissing the issue, they don't have to look at the issue. They can just dismiss me. You see what I'm saying? That's much easier to do. So all you critical thinkers out there, stay strong. All right, I know some days can get you down, but some days other people can get you down. But hang in there. Hang in there, baby. Listen to what I have to put up with sometimes as the kind of gigging musician that I am. These two ladies were talking while I'm trying to play my music. When I recorded this on my phone, I didn't even hear them. I was so zoned out in what I was doing. It's my kind of drug. But here they are. And here I am. thank you for listening to my podcast. If you would like to help me buy some chicken, if you would like to donate to the podcast, you can do so at atlanticradio.blogspot.com. There's a PayPal tip jar there, and you can join me on Patreon with your money. And there'll be some more episodes coming up right after this. I know I took a little hiatus, and take care of yourself, and don't let me tell you what to do. All right? You can be miserable if you want to, but like my friend Steve Piscatelli says, make it a great day. Make it a great night. Make it a great whatever it is right now. Just do it, okay? Damn you, Nike. Why did you have to take that fucking word? It doesn't belong to them. It belongs to me. It belongs to you. It belongs to the people. Those words are the commons. They are a national state park. All right, I have to go. All right, bye-bye.